How am I going to start this video? I mean, I haven't even made my own video despite doing some collaborations with other reviewers. I haven't even come up with a good episode to start out with. When is brilliance going to strike? Now what? Man, what have I been doing? I should stop all this panicking over nothing and think of something favorable to me to start with. But what though? What about the Equestria games? My favorite episode of the series thus far! Yeah, that is gonna be the ticket to success over this run. Let's do it! Many months later. Why? I made the script, rewrote it, had someone go through it, and then did nothing with it. It's been stuck in my folder not to have been read for some time. Maybe this was all a mistake, trying to start solo reviewing with my favorite episode. I feel I don't have the experience yet. If only I had some reviews under my belt. Instead of the games episode, what about the entire arc from start to finish? Ladies and gentlecolts, welcome to the show. I am your host for this evening, Unova Brony. This is my little corner of the internet, and here I will review episodes of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic to the best of my abilities. It will be a journey for both you and me to improve, to grow, and strengthen our love for the show. Today on the chopping block is the start of the Equestria Games arc, just for Sidekicks. To begin, I have some baggage with this episode, as I was a huge fan of it back when Season 3 was airing, calling it one of my favorite episodes of the season. There was a time when I wanted to like the little dragon when everyone else didn't want any more Spike episodes, and labeled his episodes as the weakest in focus. It was when I was a fan wanting to devote myself to viewing episodes more positively and more naively than I do now. I don't regret those previous acts of blind Spike support. However, now I see the major flaws that have occurred in this episode. Looking at it now, I can see why people said those things at that time. This episode's main issue for me was that it was a karma story. In my opinion, a karma story is a tale of a main character who did something wrong or was scheming to do something wrong to others. And then the world decides to make a point through many events in the story to torment the lead until he or she is taught a lesson this way. I have an issue with this type of story because it is trying to prove a point for the mistaken lead character through contrivances in the story, characters' behavior, and the overall tone of the episode. The story just immediately jumps into high gear as soon as the main six leave. The actions within the story, such as the pet's wild and intentional behaviors, were only present to torment Spike further until his breaking point. And as a result, unnatural character growth was shown. Spike, in the last part of the episode, was just downtrodden and tired of the world's twisted game and just wanted to give up. All of this is not happening because of his actions, just thinking incorrectly. It's not even probable cause and effect here. The epiphany moment, once occurring, then changes the circumstances to his favor since he conformed to a certain way of thinking. Well, life doesn't work that way, and it shows the audience an unrealistic approach to the lesson of the episode. Looking into the actions some characters did in this episode, I question their validity. For one, the secondary characters we are more familiar with in this episode do some very heinous acts. Sakura, instead of being her empathetic mystic teacher self, pretends to help Spike when he is binded to a tree and robs him of a gem to warn him of his dragon greed messing up with his mojo. But she doesn't say anything anymore when she donates the gem to the Philly Scout and then walks away. For a moment, she acts more like a slyer version of Celestia with her teaching methods, and that was uncharacteristic to her portrayal of previous episodes, where she was more active and talkative to the ponies with issues. Then, on another note, Granny Smith's cameo was mean-spirited when after Spike gave a gem to her, in order to silence her from telling Applejack of his mistreatment to the animals, she says, "Talk about what now?" in a sassy, in-your-face tone, and that right there is the world saying to you, Spike, that you're wrong for what you're doing, and it laughs back at you, relishing in your despair. This wasn't the hard-headed granny we've grown to love in this series. The way these characters act harks back to Putting Your Hoof Down from Season 2, and we already had a huge controversy involving the town's ponies' behaviors then. And lastly, the tone of the episode was the feeling of unpleasantness incarnate. Spike was the surrogate to the audience by showing how unfair these events played out, and even at the end of the episode just spikes him even further. He did not get any good karma back for his troubles at the end, although Sakura said he would. Let's not forget that Spike wasn't innocent. Oh no! The actions he took to control the pets aren't really appropriate as a caretaker. But it was his idea to take the burden just for a jewel cake. You know, living as a kid, you just gotta live and learn. Sorry to have you all go through with that, but after going through all those faults, is there anything redeemable about this mess? Yes! We had the rare interaction between the Cutie Mark Crusaders and Spike for once, along all the pets being there. Seriously, it took this long to have the youngest leads meet up and talk to each other? Then the last 2.5 seasons? These characters would make for some great story ideas involving their young age and their goals and the future at the time. But I guess that's just me. The highlights for the episode were most definitely the despising angel stare bits. When only lower form of creatures in this pony-filled world are the only ones that witness the vileness of one particular rabbit, then there is something wrong with the lead species' eyes. Overall, this episode wasn't the best of the season as I previously thought. For being a part of the game's arc, if only tangibly, as its sister half of the episode that is the official start of the arc, it shows an excuse to not have Spike revisit the Empire he'd helped save and then have them be tortured. The karma story just felt like a thorn bush to get through. Seeing the episode with the view that the world just has to teach the dragon a lesson in the most harshest of ways. But some comedy moments sprinkled throughout really doesn't make me hate the experience of watching the episode. It is still one of my favorites, if only for the novelty of having the young cast members actually talk to each other within an episode. So, Just for Sidekicks is rated as a mediocre episode, for the story hampering the potential for an okay premise. Now then, join me next time as we discuss Games Ponies Play, an episode I have been waiting to talk about. This is Unova Brony, signing off.